Beep. You're frozen. Welcome back
Welcome back
to the Lousy Show.
to the Lousy Show. It's always something.
I'm sitting here genuinely hoping that this goes smooth as in the last recording.
Just fingers crossed. That's all we can do. Probably won't, because that's just what today is. But
Yep. All we can say is, if you would like to know what we're talking about, go watch last week's episode of the Weekly Tea Food Digest.
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
No, we're just a week ahead on the podcast. As far as recording right now, that tea food comes out this Thursday.
Just keep going. Just it's fine.
We're trying. We're
2 episodes
trying.
ago.
Yes. Go back and watch it. I'm sure I've titled it very adequately of how it went. It was quite
Fever
possibly.
Yep. Just
yes.
fever dream.
Yep.
It was fucking weird, but we'll see what happens with this one.
Yeah. Before we even move forward.
Yeah, it's not a fever dream. The sale at intotheam.com/lousy right now.
It's time for an ad read.
It's already a fever dream. That's
Yep.
We're here. But anyway.
Yeah, it's time for an ad read. Y'all already know what's up. We are partnered with Into the AM to get some dope shirts, hats, underwear, shorts, all the clothing items you could need. They don't do shoes yet. Sorry, they don't do shoes. But if you want some good clothes, go check it out. Links in the description and the pinned comment, intotheam.com/lousy. And right now, especially in the month of November, with Black Friday right around the corner, Sam, what are they doing?
Right now, they are doing up until December 8th, 60% off site-wide, up to 60% off. I keep doing that. Up to 60% off site-wide. And then you can get an extra 10% by using our code LOUSY at checkout. Make sure you don't use honey, because otherwise you'll still probably get a deal, but we won't get credit for it. So just use ours instead. So.
And of course, if you decide to buy some stuff, like we said before, join the Discord and go show it off in there. We would love to see it. Love to give you all a shout out. Anybody, we've said this before, and I don't think we really brought this up again, but I'd like to bring this up again for everybody. Anybody who does join the Discord and actually gets them into the AM gear, shows it off, we would love to give you a shout out on the show. So definitely do that. Both links are in the description. intotheam.com/lousy. Go check it out. Get you some dope threads. Tell them the Lousy Boys sent you.
Yep.
Sam.
Sir.
Today's topic.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and explain it.
Yeah, you do that.
So we've been doing this show for what, year and some change now? About a year and a quarter.
Over a year, we'll say.
Yeah. And we've definitely mentioned before that Sam and I have in fact played music together.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, we started jamming back in what, high school?
I think so. Yeah, because that's when you had picked up the bass.
Yes.
I think it was like freshman year.
Yeah.
And then, Dad taught you a few things. You went off and learned a bunch of things on your own.
Yeah.
And then we started jamming.
Yep. And over the years, Sam and I, we've been a part of a couple bands together. Actually, we've, to name a few, one that y'all will never find any footage of is a band called Forever the Waiting.
If you do, don't tag me.
Burn it here. Oh. Well, Before Dawn.
Yep.
That one, if you dig deep enough, you can find footage of.
Yeah, and also that one was like, so the first one we created together with some friends. But Before Dawn, you had gone off and done, and then I joined later.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know what? We'll just give a brief history to lead up to what we're really getting, the meat and potatoes. So Sam and I started playing music together back in high school.
Yep.
And to explain the topic, apologies. The topic for today is kind of a deep dive into the history of us playing music together. This got brought up because there is a video or a collection of videos on YouTube. Good luck finding them. That my oldest wanted to see what his daddy did before, I was a dad. And so I was like, perfect. I know what to show you. So that kind of spawned this topic today. And we're going to give you all a nice, fun adventure into the history of us and our music careers together. Because a majority of the music that we've done has been together.
Can I ask you something? Did you show him that before you showed him Bought by Blood?
No.
Okay, thank God.
No.
I was going to say, like, man, you really started off weak.
Hey, look, you got to climb the mountain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I prefer descending. Gravity's helping you there.
So, Sam and I started playing music together back in high school, way back when. And yes, actually, as a matter of fact, I was gifted my very first bass, like my very first actual bass, by your dad.
Yeah.
And you and I
had a broken headstock on it twice.
I still have it.
Yeah. It still works great. Yep. But it's such a good bass. Yeah.
Oh no, dude, that bass alone has seen so many miles. It has traveled through different states with me. It has always been with me. I currently own 4. I own that one. For anybody out there who's tech literate when it comes to musical instruments, it's a simple Rogue 4-string, but it holds a lot of sentimental value. It plays like a dream, honestly. But I have that one. I have my Red Rogue. I have my Schecter 5, and I have my my Fender.
Yep.
And so those stay. I'm actually converting down there into like a music room because my oldest is actually starting to show interest in some semblance of music. So I was why not? But yeah, Sam and I played music together in a band called Forever the Waiting. That band, we actually mentioned that band once before when we talked about my shitty story.
Yep. Yeah, because that was the practice.
Yeah.
That the aforementioned shitty story occurred. So
yes. While it was a long time in that band, it was short-lived, I would say. We played all of one show.
Yep. And
that from there, Sam is correct. I went on after our drummer left. He went on to go play in a different project, and he hit up me and one of our other guitarists, Sean, up. It was like, "Would y'all like to play in this as well?" Sure. Got together, jammed it out, had a good time, played. That band was called Blow Before Dawn. We in that band went through a lot of drama because if you didn't grow up in a metal scene, the one thing I can tell you about a metal scene is, especially back then, drama.
Yeah.
All the time.
I mean, it was especially because like we were teenagers / early 20s. And that's just that time in your life is just it's so ripe for drama. Yeah. Hormones flying. Like it's not a good time. So like definitely elder metal scene's a lot more chill. But back then it was rough.
Well, also, if you remember the turf war.
Yep.
The turf, so where we grew up, there was a full-on turf war because the age in which we were growing up in, Sam and I would have identified for anybody out there who doesn't know metal. We're not going to give you the whole breakdown of the hierarchy of metal, if you will, but he and I grew up as like metalcore kids. We grew up listening to Killswitch Engage, Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, Rise Against. And even back then, Rise Against was still more of a punk side, but still kind of fell in that same vein. And so we grew up listening to that, and a lot of our music emulated that.
Yep.
On the opposite side of that, You had the hardcore kids, the ones who, when you see like a metal show, I would say bands you might have seen do this are probably like Knocked Loose. Oh Lord,
it's probably the best like recent example I can think of.
Yeah, where people are like throwing fists like this, or
That happened a
hardcore dancing
lot at Alpha Wolf.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a lot more accepted nowadays.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the metal community's like, hey, you know what? We're all here to have fun. Do what you want to do. Just don't be a dick.
Yep.
But you had the hardcore kids who did that, and so at the shows you would have the push pits going for the friends that we usually hung out with. You'd have the hardcore dancing, and if for some reason those collided, fights would break out.
Yep.
And the turf war did not end well. Long story short, I remember the night it all happened, and I was at the front seat of it. I was actively talking to who we would have considered one of the individuals who kind of had a voice on the opposite side. And he and I were trying to put like, let bygones be bygones. And he and I actually became very good friends. Like the story does have a happy ending. But I remember he and I were talking that night, and as we're talking, some commotion happened. He left to go see what was going on. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. As I'm leaving, I actively witness a fight breakout, which I find out later. One person went to jail that night because she took the blame for another one of their friends taking gravel, stuffing it in a chick's mouth, and then uppercutting her.
Yep.
That's how insane
Pretty
it was.
fucking brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
So that happened, but after that iteration of the band for Blood Before Dawn ended, Sam and I kind of got together and we reformed it with different members. Like I think throughout the time, like we had members come and go who were just like, you know what, I'm in this, I'm not in this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, we had Evan, and then Evan left, and then Sean came back, and Sean left, and then we had Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as far as vocal talent goes, Ryan kind of stayed.
Ryan stuck around for a bit. Drummer moved, I think, as well.
Yeah, Tyler stayed for a little bit. He left, and then we ended up picking up, I think, DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like super last minute for DJ and Bobby.
Yeah. And then after that band ended, I think when it came to just music careers in general, Sam and I were like, we got bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah, we definitely focused on life and relationships and jobs and stuff for a little bit there. Yeah. Not like super long, but it was, I think it's solid, maybe a year.
Yeah. And then after life kind of happened, Sean, who was in Forever the Waiting and Blood Before Dawn, hits up Sam and I and was like, yo, I would like to create like just a bar cover band where we can make some great money doing what we love and, jamming out for drunk people and having a good time, which at the time sounded great.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be easier than coming up with original stuff, it's hard doing that.
The problem with that though was we couldn't lock down a vocalist, and that brings us to this, the band in question that brought the video in question, Just Beneath the Surface.
Yep.
Great name in my opinion.
Not bad. Yeah, it was definitely one of our definitely better than Forever the Waiting. Blood Before Dawn is a pretty cool one too, but that's a little bit like more brutal,
Yeah, that was Totes Brutes, which fit the time.
It fit the time for sure. Yeah, and then Just Beneath the Surface, we were trying to go for more like a little bit more of a serious, not super brutal, give us, a little bit more credibility kind of thing. Because, for example, if people hear of bands, like Dying Fetus and Cannibal Corpse, you don't really, like, if you're outside of the scene, you don't really think that sounds like a cool band. That you just think like Satan. Yeah. So yeah, we were trying to go for something, because especially where we were at, we were not only just doing metal, but like there was a lot of like kind of Christian metal bleed over. And then plus, we're fucking belt buckle the Bible Belt. So like it was, you needed to have a bit more of a PG name.
Yeah. Well, also I think it emulated a lot of what we listened to, because we grew up listening to those bands like Bullet for My Valentine.
Yeah.
We grew up listening to As I Lay Dying, All That Remains. Like the you know the what's the it's the collection of words that offers a phrase, but a thought, but a picture. You know, like when you see that name, you can picture that band. You can picture their sound. You can picture what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And those those bands definitely fit more in the realm of the metalcore scene with their stylistic ways, their music ways, just the name in general. So that's why we went with that name. But the funny part of how it formed was Sam and I, again, we've said this before, 20 years, right? We've been friends, best friends, brothers. When Sam and I get a thought together, especially if we agree on it, that like you can pretty much consider it as a congressional mandate. That thought's not going anywhere.
Not for a while. Hence the Lousy show.
Hence this. And so Sam and I, nothing against Sean, but Sean wanted to be the brains, the brawn, the face, all of it for this band.
Lead singer. Like, well, he didn't want to do lead singer because I think we talked
he did.
Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like we talked him out of it because of the burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when things started, because I remember we actually picked up our drummer Jack. Well, Sean had Jack already, I should say. And we all got together, meshed well. Everything was great. We started jamming a little bit. Everything was great. Sam and I get into this mentality of, okay, this feels a lot like Sean's show. We're just along for the ride.
Yeah.
Is that something we're comfortable with? The answer, no. And it's unfortunate, like, again, nothing against Sean, but what Sam and I envisioned after we jammed together with Jack was bleeding away from what originally was actually titled. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the original name of the band?
Fuck no.
Deceiver.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Sean came up with the name Deceiver.
It's not a bad name.
And it's not a bad name. Not a very good name. But it started bleeding away from that mentality.
Yeah.
Like,
well, plus we clicked really well with Jack, and Jack clicked really well with us. And so, like, he kind of had that same mindset of, like, you know, we would just, you know, that's what happens when you get a bunch of dudes together and they start playing music. You know, of course, if you're trying to learn covers original shit's going to happen. And then people jam off of that. And so, like, that's typically a good gauge on, you know, who's going to fit well within a band is like, hey, can you jam well together? Because if you can jam well, that's all that matters, really. Like, the creativity will flow. And so there's definitely like a kind of like a triangle of creativity there. Not so much a square, if you know what I'm saying. So,
yep. And so, if I'm not mistaken, we kind of inadvertently, it was definitely intentional, but not with malice. We removed Sean from the equation because the three of us got together and we me, you, and Jack all got together, sat down. We were like, look, I remember the conversation. We all agreed that the idea of Deceiver sounded good on paper, but wasn't what we wanted to do. Like, after finally putting those gears into motion, we were like, the car needs to stop before we get too far ahead. Like, this isn't the realm we want to be in. Let's move over here.
Yeah.
And so, talking to Sean, he took it horribly, unfortunately. It's just the nature of the beast with anything like this. And we had to move forward. Well, we ended up calling our roommate, Jacob.
Yep.
Jacob, I don't know if you watch. Love you, buddy. Love all the guys, honestly. Haven't talked to Jacob in a long time. Jacob came in to be the new guitarist.
Mm.
The problem with Jacob was that Jacob's influence,
not so much the same as ours.
Yeah, it didn't mesh.
Yeah, he was more fast, technical, not quite metalcore. He was, you know, like your Born of Osiris is.
Yeah,
you know, it's shit like that. For those
he was gent.
Yeah. He was more gent. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, like,
for anybody who might be illiterate out there in the metal world, sometimes it's known as mathcore. Gent, DJ ENT, like that's the realm that he was in. Like I think like Periphery.
Yeah, Meshuggah kind of yeah, a little bit more chug, not so much.
Ooh, who's another one? Who's his favorite one? They made the song Wormholes.
He liked Volumes a lot.
Volumes, yes. Yeah, that's another band. Volumes kind of had a little peak in like the TikTok world. So anybody out there who might have heard them, there you go.
Yep.
So to establish that he didn't fit too well.
He also, I think, had an equipment issue because he didn't have a larger amp. And so like whenever he did play, I think he was playing on a combo amp at the time that was too quiet.
yeah. Because
not that really mattered, but it was another thing.
Yeah. Well, I remember because he also had, if I'm not mistaken, he had a power amp with the Axe effects, or some sort of like I think is it that or like a Line 6 board or something like that.
Line 6. Yeah.
And so he was using that as like his. Did you say Line X?
Yeah, I said Line X.
Like fucking, so he was playing with a truck bed.
Yeah. It still kind of checks
out. You're not wrong. But it like the sound didn't work, and we all kind of agreed on that.
Yeah.
There was no harm, no foul there. He even said, he's like, yeah, no, this isn't
he wasn't really feeling it. Like kind of same thing like I was mentioning earlier. We were jamming, kind of get a feel for things, and the jamming wasn't really jamming. So
yep. After him, Jack actually said, hey, I got a buddy. We could try him out. Insert Doug. Doug fit perfectly. Doug had a very strong jazz influence in his sound, which molded perfectly with the metalcore riffs we were putting together, and it was like top tier. Actually, Future Sam, if you don't mind, I would love to post like the original. I don't know if you remember the original picture we took with the four of us in like a diamond shape.
Oh yeah, you'll have to I think send it to me because I have no idea where it is for me. So.
Future Sam, DM me right now, and I'll get that picture to you. But we got that going, and the band actually started working really well. Like we started picking up a couple gigs here and there. I remember the very first one we ever played was out at this grill all the way out in the middle of nowhere, and we rocked the house, dude.
For all two people that were there, but we fucking it was a few more than two. But
I said give our credit where it's due. It was a house. It was a smaller place, but it was a house probably of like 30 people, I would say max. Yeah. But I mean, like people loved it. People loved it.
They comped our food too. I think they
comped our food and our drink.
That's right. Yeah, it was a great first one to do. You could drink away your sorrows. So,
right. We were so heavy that we were actually rattling plates off in the restaurant down below because they hadn't strapped them in.
Yeah.
But it was a dope time, and we had a great experience. We played a few shows after that, and then unfortunately, things started to kind of go a bit more tits up. Unfortunately, where it was. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, Doug started having scheduling issues.
Yep.
And then Jack started having scheduling issues.
Yep.
And it ended up kind of coming back to me and you.
Yep.
But the problem that we ran into with the scheduling issues was we were planning on going on a week-long tour run with our buddies in the band, The Stillborn Poet. And I remember at that time because I was also filling in for the Stillborn Poet on a couple of vocal gigs. And when that happened, like Jack and Doug kind of went, there's no way we can do this. Like we're already kind of just pushed to the point where we can't with our schedules. It's probably best for us to back out. We understood. We respected that. We were like, all right, you know what? Absolutely. Do your thing. Like we still love you. And to this day, still love you. Like Doug, I love seeing Doug and Jack's updates on social media because they're chilling, living life. And I love that. I love seeing them, still making positive moves.
Always good to see the homies thriving.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's when you and I sat down and we were like, what do we do?
There was also another big wrench. But I mean, it wasn't, I guess, that big, but I was moving too.
True. I forgot that. Yes.
That's when I was getting ready to move to Texas. But I was committed. I mean, I was like, I'll fly back. Like, fuck it.
Yeah. And you did. Yep. You did. And I remember Actually, yeah, no, because that's right. Because that was the conversation that you and I had where you went, well, I'm moving. The band is basically done at this point. So if we do this tour, it's going to be a farewell tour, but we can't just do it with a bass and guitar.
Yeah.
And because at the time I was actually doubling as bass and lead vocal. You were doubling as lead guitar, or no, you were doubling as rhythm guitar with lead and vocal.
Yeah, which
so
I wouldn't describe myself as a lead guitarist at all. I like the rhythm side of things. So like,
yeah,
the fact that I was in charge of the lead-a-lees wasn't really great for me.
And yet they were still good.
They're all right.
You could shred
compared to who we ended up getting. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're comparing fucking like Brock Osweiler to Patrick Mahomes there. Okay. Like you can still play the game, but like you ain't winning Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? Like you're damn good at what you do, but you just decided to go and try and put a Titan on the pedestal here and go, but him. And with that brings us to basically the conclusion of this. Sam and I put out the word, and our longtime buddy, the drummer of our very first band, Tyler, came to our aid and said, I'll do vocal for you. And I was like, that would be sick, because I would like to just do side vocal with Sam. He and I, like, because you and I had a great like riffage back and forth, and our vocal melody worked really well together to do, but for side, for periphery. Yeah. Not for a lead with that. It couldn't combine this way, but it did like this.
Yeah, we weren't really front men. We were definitely side guys.
And so we were like, yeah, absolutely. So Tyler joined, and we were like, all right, well, we need another guitarist and a drummer. And Tyler goes, I got the guys. We're like, who?
What?
Now, drummer, insert Charles. Phenomenal percussionist.
Great drummer. Yep.
Holy shit. Like,
and such a chill dude too. Like, yeah, great dude. Yeah. All of them great dudes, like, for sure.
Yes.
But
I don't think I've seen Charles since he played for the band Audacity Brass Band.
Yep.
And that's been years. But I'm going to tell you right now, you want to talk about a dude with some chops, that man could get down on the skins, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And just a credit to his like ability, how quickly he picked up the songs.
Yep. And like, kind of improved a little bit. Like he added a few little fills and just a few little touches of him in there, and it meshed really well.
Absolutely. And then the Titan that Sam so kindly mentioned is the guitarist that I played with in Blood Before Dawn.
Yep.
Tyler lets us know Evan is available. And Evan, holy shit. This guy, like, the best way I can describe him is he definitely was the quiet kid at school who picked up the guitar and decided, I'm going to master this.
That was his hyperfixation, was guitar.
Absolutely.
Mine was a little bit of everything. His was guitar.
Yeah.
Guitar.
And so Evan, of course, was like, yeah, I'm down. Evan shows up, learns the songs like that, like
so fast. Yeah.
No question asked.
Not even a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then started writing too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like, yeah. Well, that's when we were like, pump the brakes, brother. Like, we're not ready.
No, there was a couple of things we needed to write for, as far as, there was a harmonized solo that him and I did.
Yes.
He wrote all of that. I just learned it. But it was sick. And I remember you guys, because him and I were working on that while you guys, I can't remember if it was stepping out for a smoke break or what, but like you guys come back into the practice space and we're just fucking needling. You guys are like, what the fuck happened while we were going?
What happened? Oh man. I remember. So when we were prepping for that tour, and this tour got wild, when we were prepping for the tour, we had to practice in an abandoned school building, which was an old venue that we had in our neck of the woods.
Yep.
The room they put us in had 0 AC.
Yep.
0.
I got hot.
You're running 3 amps.
I'd also like to pause you for a second right there. Can you please describe your bass rig and how much power it took? Just for,
Which one was I running at the time?
So for reference, the one I had and still have is 110 watts, which is not huge. Like it fills out a nice room perfectly fine.
Hang on.
You were
I know what
running the
you're
nuke with the 115 and the 8x10, I think, if I remember correctly. This man, we've talked about his Facebook Marketplace, fucking everything, but when it comes to changing out sound equipment back then, that was his Facebook Marketplace.
I just found one for $269.
Man's about to trip every breaker in his house.
So this was that's not the one.
I had 4 12-inch speakers in my cabinet and then a 110 watt head.
Mm-hmm. I had a PV 2x15. Like,
oh, I forgot you got the 2. Yeah. So you started with a 1x15 and then you got a 2x15 later on.
Yes.
Or might have been vice versa. I can't remember.
Yeah. No, I had the 1x15. For that tour, I had the 1x15.
Yeah.
Because it had casters on it. Yeah. So I had a PV 1x15. Sounded immaculate.
15-inch big ass.
Yeah.
Speaker
Subwoofer.
For those that don't know.
Yep. And then I had an Ashdown 4x10. Ashdown is another brand, and a 4x10 is just essentially a box, 4 10-inch speakers. I was running the Bugera Nuke bass head, and that had 3,600 watts of power.
Yeah, 3,600 compared to 110. This motherfucker couldn't turn it up to much more above 1, or else he was...
No, I couldn't turn it to 1.
Yeah, like it was... Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was like just barely turning it, and then it was already like...
Yeah, yeah.
And so my little 412 was like,
Yeah, so we had that. We had 3 rigs, a PA system for the us vocalists to sing and scream through, and then 5 able bodies, all producing heat.
Yep.
Inside of a metal room, essentially, because this is an old schoolhouse. So this is like they had the old cinder block walls with the metal like exposed. Like it was a hot room in the middle of June. Like it was a sauna.
it was hot and humid Virginia. Like it was not great.
Mm-hmm. So I just remember like coming back to seeing that, and I much like we were talking about earlier, it was a fever dream. That's what I was having. I was like, what the fuck's happening right now?
Yeah.
But we decided at that time that this, like us practicing that, was the tour was gonna be the final tour. Like Tyler, Evan, and Charles all agreed, like, yeah, we're not gonna continue this past this. This is just for us to get through this. Have a great week on the road. This will be the final iteration of Just Beneath the Surface. We're good. Practice. We hit the road. We played in, let me see if I can remember exactly. Troutville, Virginia was the last stop. Roanoke? No. Salem.
I don't think Roanoke. Yeah, it was,
Salem was the first stop.
I think so. I think I still have my lanyard somewhere.
Yeah. I remember we played in West Virginia. We played in our hometown.
Yep. We had a DC show too.
Yeah. And then we played in Springfield. That's right. Yeah. So we were gone for 6 days, essentially, traveling time and such. That tour, I would have to say, was probably one of the most fun journeys I've ever been on.
Yeah, that entire tour was a fever dream. Like,
yes.
But in a good way. Like now that we're looking back on it. Yeah.
We had the 5 of us plus 4 members of the Stillborn Poet, because their drummer was actually having to work. So he was having to leave work, drive to the next venue, and then drive back home.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
Pinpointing back and forth every single day.
Well, and we had a joint roadie too.
True. Yeah.
Yep.
So you had 10 people in a white van, a white 15-passenger van. No, a 12-passenger. Now think about it. It was 12 because it was missing that last row.
I think it was 2 of us in each row, and then sometimes 3, depending on where people were.
Yep. And then of course we had the trailer with all of our gear. I won't talk about the entire tour because some of it was definitely a fog.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about 2 specific stops.
Yep.
The night you got hammered and the night I got hammered.
Yep. And both refused to think that we got hammered at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the night that he got hammered, I'll let you know what? I'll let you tell it from your perspective and I'll fill in the blanks from mine.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that was the hometown show. So that's when all the friends came out and saw that mess. But it was another one of those. Our drinks got comped. And, we got food. It was at a restaurant that has changed hands so many times. I don't even know if it's still there to this day. But it was a cool little spot, kind of. And it was one of the few places in town that would allow a metal show. So that was a big dub for them. But we pulled up and, started talking to like bartender. And I think the owner was there too. And he was like, yep, drinks are on the house. You guys get set up, just have fun, have a great time. And we're like, all right, sweet. And so we started drinking and kept drinking. And then because we got there pretty early, if I remember correctly.
If I may, I was having to run the door that night because this is like on the tour, the Stillborn Poet was technically the headliner, but for our hometown show, they let us headline.
Yeah.
And so they were like, you're in charge. I went, cool. Because I think I actually was the one who hooked us up with the venue.
Yep.
And so I was having to run door, money, set like set changes, and I was basically like interference between the bands and the owner.
Yep.
So I didn't see any of this.
No, and most of us were just there having a good time, Evan included. And so yeah, him and I were just at the bar just drinking up until it got time for the show, and then we started loading people on. But by that point, I was already pretty sloshed, and we needed to move the van, and I was like, I got it. And it was private property, so technically I was kind of legal. But whatever, it's past statute of limitations. So I go to back it up, and I did get there eventually, but the parking lot wasn't exactly flat. It was a bit of a little low spot for drainage, and those that have driven a van with a trailer towed behind it know that you need relatively flat. If you're trying to go up, then tow hitch or something's gonna hit. And so I pull around, start backing it up towards the door, and it slams the ground. I'm talking hard, and I didn't think so at the time, so I'm just like, it's fine, shut up. And so I pull forward and I do it again, and Mikey, he owned the van, he was one of the guys in the trailer in TSP. He was like, bro, slow the fuck down and just do it. And I was like, all right. So I finally got it, but that should have been a sign to cut me off right then and there, and nobody did. And so yeah, I kept drinking and having a great time watching all the homies play before us. And then comes showtime, and I have to try to be able to play relatively accurately, and I did not do a good job at all. And then Evan was pretty equally sloshed. He's still he's enough of like a magical god in guitar to where he was able to put some stuff together, but there was a few things like going back and watching that video that he did not do well either. And so in watching that video back, because we had a friend record it, you, Tyler, and Charles are all dying the entire fucking show. And then you're like, all right, well, let's just keep going. And I don't remember playing the show at all. I know there's video evidence of it, but I remember getting up on stage, putting the guitar on, and then nothing.
So Sam, we've said this before, Sam is a bit of an introvert. He's only extroverted in times that he has to be or feels comfortable enough to do so.
Or if he's
hammered.
Evidence. We told my 21st birthday story on here, right? Yeah. So
we have not. We have not.
Haven't we? I'm pretty sure we have.
Maybe.
I think we
Possibly.
did.
Let's deep dive our archives and see. How I could tell Sam was hammered was I get on stage. Mind you, one funny thing about this show, no one told me that we were wearing all black shirts. Everyone else in the band has a black shirt on. Me, vibrant neon lime green.
I don't remember
I was
us
repping
coordinating that, but
I was repping a band that was local because I really love their music. And I stand out like a fucking Sharpie and a highlighter and a Sharpie box.
Yep.
So I see Sam, I get on stage, I have my bass on. I look over, I'm trying to get his attention. I went, Sam, and he goes, huh? Wide-eyed and just, huh? And I went, oh no. I just grabbed Tyler and I went, how much has he had to drink? He goes, if you think he's bad, look at Evan. I look at Evan. Now, Evan's always a stoic individual, like very much like.
Yeah. He's kind of like me. He's a bit introverted, like doesn't really talk a whole lot.
I look at Evan and Evan is trying to walk around while playing his guitar and he is doing this.
For reference, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Evan told me, he was like, bro, I can match you. Every drink you drink, I'm drinking. I was like, all right. And so I think that's why we got so sloshed. But for reference, I'm 6'8". I think at the time I was like 250. Evan, how tall would you say Evan is? Like 5'7"
on a good day.
5'8", maybe, like with fucking boots on, and maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. So I'll give him the credit where credit's due. He definitely matched me, but we both lost at the end of the day.
And it was horrendous. We played the worst set I've ever been a part of. Miscues, miss notes. At one point, we're supposed to be playing this melodic, like, epic intro, like kind of like a intermission style sound to go between the songs while Tyler's talking. And Evan just starts like, we're just like, what are you doing?
That's usually the time where we like got together and we're like, all right, guys, let's have a kick-ass show, like blah blah blah, and then we break and then like, and then, but no, he was just there.
Yeah, and I think it was Tyler who like looked at him and gave him an eye, and you just hear him go. It was hilarious. It was bad because after the show, I was just like, I never want to play here again.
Good thing that place closed down like 2 months later. So.
Yeah, Tyler and I both were like, just get the money, let's leave. Get the money, let's leave.
Yeah,
and so we ended up grabbing the money and paying the owner of the place. We dip out, but the funny part was we go to leave. We all get in the van, except for.
Oh, I didn't get in the van. I don't remember this part.
Sam, as soon as we finished playing, disappeared. So the girl you were talking to at the time, whose name we shall not mention, was there at the show.
That's right. Yep. I'm remembering now. Yep.
And Sam, being drunk, was just like, I'll go wherever you want, baby. And I will say, I'll give Sam credit where credit's due. Sam is a gentleman. He would never take advantage nor be taken advantage of in those moments. He was sound enough to know we're just going to make out for a second because I like you, you like me, but ain't nothing happening in the pants. So good on you, brother. I want to clarify that before this story gets off the rails. However, the motherfucker didn't tell us where he was going.
Figured you guys would figure it out. I'll show up.
So we get in the van. All of us are in the van. Mikey starts the van, starts pulling away. I am in the front seat talking to Mikey, and he was just like, dog, what the fuck happened to y'all tonight? And I was like, I don't fucking know, dude. I look back as I'm saying that going, I wonder what happened. And I realized Sam's not in the van. So I immediately was like, Mikey, stop the van. He stops. We're literally getting ready to pull out the parking lot. He stops the van. I'm like, where the fuck is Sam? No one knows where he's at. So I run back into the building and I walk in. I'm looking around. I'm like, he's 6'8". It's not that hard to miss. Where is he? I walk up to the bar and I'm like, tall fucker, blonde hair. Y'all seen him? And they were like, the dude who was just at plant. I was like, yes. And they were like, I'm like, great. So I go out to the smoke area. Nothing. Come back inside. Nothing. Go to the bathroom thinking maybe you're yakking your guts up. Nothing. I don't know if you remember this, but I was beyond infuriated with you.
I don't at all.
Sam was sitting in a car with this girl, parked 2 spots from the front door, watched me run inside, and saw me through the window like the Benny Hill theme song was playing live, running around looking for something. When I saw him, the only reason I spotted him was because he cocked the door open to get some fresh air and the light came on in the car. And so I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck are you doing? She goes, oh, it's my fault. I'm like, no, the fuck it's not. It's his. And you were like, what were you doing? I was like, looking for you. He goes, oh, I could see you the whole time. And I just went, get in the fucking van. Get in the fucking van.
Yeah.
And so I didn't drag you out of the car, but you were like, I gotta go.
Yeah. I was like, Dad's mad. Like, I gotta go.
Yeah, you were just like, Dad's mad. So you like finally get the van, take off, leave. And we all stayed at my apartment. The next day, we leave, we take off for West Virginia, which, by the way, where we played in West Virginia, beautiful. We get to drive through the back country of West Virginia. Oh my God. We even remember the little mom and pop shop we stopped at was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They were sketched out because they saw 10 very large dudes walk into their building at the same time. They were like, oh shit.
Yeah, most of us are pretty big. So yeah, it was not a small feat by any means.
Yeah. A lot of tattoos, a lot of black clothing. When we opened our mouths and we were like, hi, they were like, oh, thank God. Yep. So we stopped there. We got to our venue. As we're at the venue, at the mom and pop shop, Mikey was the bassist of the Suburban Poet, still one of my best friends this day, love him to death. Mikey, it goes up to me and he goes, it's our turn. And I went, I like the way you think. He goes and buys, I don't know if y'all ever heard of bootleggers. He buys 2 of them and he brings them with us. We get to where we're going in West Virginia and the owner of the venue hasn't shown up yet. So we're just kind of perusing around. Some people got to go piss. Some people just like looking at the sites because it was actually very beautiful. It was a very, like, architecture was nice. It was a very beautiful place. Well, Mikey and I, we were filming a tour vlog, and Mikey and I were like, dude, let's do the bro chug. We're like, all right, let's bro chug it up. So we go in this alleyway, fucking crank these things back, yeet the bottles. Sorry for littering. We were dumb.
Pretty sure y'all are also pissed in that later on, but that's another story.
But I was hammered when that happened.
Yep.
We do that, go back to the front of the building, and then the manager of the night, Sissy, she shows up. Sissy was a fucking legend.
Yeah, shout out Sissy. That was dope.
Yeah. Sissy shows up and, proceeds to let us in. We start loading gear in, getting stuff going. The guitar tech's getting everything set up. We backline so we could just get things going quickly. The other acts start showing up, and then basically patrons of the place just started funneling in. Wasn't a packed house by any means, but I mean, I think we had like maybe a 30-40 head count that night, which was really cool. And the opening band was really dope too.
Yeah.
Get to the reason on that in a moment. They were known as the Beast in His Image.
I still have that shirt. I still have that
I wish
shirt.
I did.
Yeah.
I fucking wish I did.
I'm pretty sure I do. It should be in my closet. Yep.
But that remember that name, the Beast in His Image, because that's going to come back in a moment. Again, this is my turn to get drunk, not theirs. So Sissy is at the bar. Mikey is there talking to her. I walk up and I was like, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. Name's Joe. Wanted to thank you for letting us, play here tonight. We greatly appreciate the opportunity. We're on the road, so this any kind of showtime is good showtime. And And she was like, "Oh, you're a sweetheart. Actually, no problem at all. You know what? Hey, Mikey." Yeah, she'd already been talking to him. She's like, "You two are just sweethearts. Your drinks are comped on us tonight." And we went, "What?" So we grab a couple beers, start drinking. Next thing I know, I have demolished the bootlegger, and I would say probably 12 to 13 IPAs. I'm hammered. I'm piss drunk.
Yep.
I reek of a dumpster, like, because I was sweating. We watched the band The Beast in His Image go on. Great band. I was like, I gotta go get a shirt from them. And they were running this dope deal where it was like a black shirt or a red shirt, same logo, $5. I was like, absolutely, give me one of those. I put it on. We go on stage, and as we're playing, I am so drunk. Mind you, side banter. We're in between songs. Tyler knows I'm drunk. Tyler tried to cut my microphone off. Drunk me said, "No, the fuck you didn't." So I turn my mic back on. Tyler starts going, "Hey guys, we're just with the service. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Appreciate y'all so much. Hope you've enjoyed the set so far." And I was like, "Hey, I got something I want to say."
Also, can we back up for a second? I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it was this point in the night. Were you wearing the hat?
The Tweety Bird hat.
The Tweety Bird hat, yeah.
I had on a Tweety Bird beanie. If we can find footage of this Future saying this is where you got it.
I know I've got like a picture or two, but I don't have footage. So yeah, you'll need to.
Yeah. So I had a Tweety Bird beanie on with long like straps, that you would tie up. And it was a big, like it was a yellow hat. It was a yellow hat, red shirt, very vibrant individual.
Man was loud. Yeah. Again.
I was.
Yeah.
So I go, "Hey, I got something I want to say." And you could have heard a pin drop. Everyone in the room, except for Mikey. Mikey was like, "Let him talk."
I remember just looking over at Charles like, what the fuck is about to happen?
and I went, "I just want to give a shout out to the band that played before us. I don't remember their name or nothing, but they were fucking awesome." Someone in the crowd goes, "They're on your shirt." And I did this. I went, "Yeah, I can't read upside down. What's it say?" And everyone went, "Nah."
Yeah. Also, we played a much better show that time because one, he was the bassist. Two, I think we turned you down.
You did.
If I remember correctly. Which, I mean, that's kind of harder than it sounds because, like I said, you just move it like a half a millimeter and it's already, 3 million decibels.
Yep.
And then, but yeah, Evan and I were, I think hungover, but like we played a good show. And so it wasn't as optically bad, but, cause also it was only one of us as opposed to, 2/5 of the band. But.
Yeah, exactly. So, end up slammered. And this is the part where we finish up, get stuff loaded off the stage. The Stillborn Poet goes up, and I thought I was ruling the pit. I'm still pissed drunk, and I start moshing, and I looked like a hillbilly hoedown. I was just like,
bro, you are the hillbilly Tasmanian devil. Like
I was.
It was not good.
I then, after that, as they finished up, made my way outside into that same alleyway, took the longest piss of my life. And as I do that, I hear, while I'm actively pissing, I hear, "Hey, let's take a picture." And I was like, "Oh, wait for me." I turn around, still pissing, running down the alleyway.
Oh, and what's funny too, that whole show, I can't remember if it was Sissy's like prop or somebody brought it, but somebody had him over huge, a suction cup self-pleasurer, we'll say, that was 1.5 feet, 2 foot, I think.
A girth cannon.
It was massive. It's in the photo. It's hard to see, so I won't blur it. But it's like at one point it was stuck because there's like windows above the door. It was stuck up there. I had to reach up and grab it because nobody else could fucking reach it.
I remember that became a game of people like seeing where they could stick it without someone grabbing it or like whatever. And at one point, I remember at one point we walked out and you almost got hit in the face with this thing because it was right in front of the door. And if you weren't looking, it was just like, wow.
Yep.
It'd give you a black eye. But like, I remember like doing that as I'm waddling myself out the alleyway. I realized I'm still pissing. So I was like, oh God. I finished pissing, zip my pants up, run out, take the picture. And the ride to the next location was the worst of my life. I remember having to sit in the front seat with the window down, and I was just.
Joe's already a prone to car sickness. Like I just remember, like I'll never forget the bus ride to New Orleans after Katrina when we went to help out, dude. Man got so sick he was just puking in the fucking aisle. Like it was not good. But so yeah, we had not only his normal, car sickness, but then he was drunk as shit on top of that. So we gave him the front seat and we all went to the back.
Yep. And the rest of that tour, honestly, was a fucking blast. Best show we played on that tour was the very last night in Troutville. We slayed that motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. That was not a mistake. It was a good crowd. TSP killed it.
Biggest crowd we had. It was the biggest crowd of our career in that band because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was the
church, right?
Yeah, and that was if I remember correctly, the head count was like 100.
It was a lot.
Which would like and I know to some people that you hear 100 and you're like, oh, I'm not even gonna front. Like I've played in front of crowds of like thousands of people, but I still remember those smaller intimate sets where you play in front of 100 people, and when you look at 100 people in a small room, it looks like a sea of fucking people.
Yeah.
And you haven't like when you especially when you're band our size and you have that opportunity and you see that, it just adds an energy to it that you've never had before. Which, before we sign off, is how we ended up with tattoos on our ankles.
Yep.
Sam and I have a tattoo, same identical tattoo on our ankle, matching with Tyler. No one else would get it. Don't know why. Couldn't
Evan
tell you.
Should have got it. If anybody should have gotten it, it was Evan.
Because Evan's the one who came up with it. Very brief story to end this lovely, lovely episode. Evan was listening to a song, and in the song, the lyrics went, nacho, cheese, guapo. Now, I'm not Spanish literate to a T, but I know some words, and I know guapo means handsome. And I went, why'd that man just call a plate of nachos handsome? I'm not going to judge, but, why would that be the case? And Evan goes, nah, man, it means party, bro. It means party with us. And I was like, that's not what that means.
Yeah, for reference to this was, I think, the Springfield show when it happened. We were staying at that hotel. And so, yeah, he was arguing hard and he was hammered.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
I think he might have been more hammered.
To clarify, the guapo term came up at that practice.
That's right. Yeah.
But it came up again in Springfield when he was very, very aggressively forward with saying how correct he was.
Yep.
So, us being us, we were like, all right, every time we play a show, get guapo with us. Or for our sake, it was come party with us. Afterwards, those select few that I mentioned got tattoos on our ankles, same spot, same font, same banner, all of it. The only distinguishing difference is Tyler has a hashtag in front of his. And yeah, we have those tattoos now. You think the story ends there? It doesn't. Weeks later, the place that I was working at the time, which as I've mentioned before, Sam and I both worked for a very long time in the cell phone industry. I was working somewhere next to a Moe's Grill. For those of you who don't know what Moe's is a burrito place. You can get great burritos there. It's great food. They also have a salsa bar there. If you've never been, I highly recommend. I went there for lunch while I was on work. I walk in, order my burrito, get my bag, go over to the salsa bar, go to fill up some cups, looking at the salsa options, and that's when I had the realization that one of their medium salsas was known as Guapo. And the song was talking about Moe's Grill. and Sam and I and Tyler have a salsa tattooed to our ankles.
I'm just gonna start collecting and put like Cholula next to it and like Tabasco, like, and just start going up my leg just with all of the different ones.
Yep. But yeah, that is the historical accuracy of our musical career, at least for the sake of Just Beneath the Surface, which I love talking about. It's one of my favorite topics.
Yeah. Everything beyond that is all you on your own. So
I kind of spread my wings and flew away.
Yep.
Actually, funny thing, it was actually during that tour, if you remember, I put in my initial bid to be the bass player for that band. They never called me back. Nope. And it wasn't until long after JBTS had ended that they were like, hey, we're still looking for a bassist. And I was like, hi. And the rest is history. 7 years of my life.
Yep.
Gone. So still love those guys.
Yeah. Good dudes. All of them. Just shout out to everybody that we talked about in this. Yeah. Hope everybody's doing well.
I'll say, I don't think there's a single person we mentioned who has any kind of negative in my book. So,
I mean, I don't tend to dwell on the past with anything. So like, like we referenced, like the disagreements with Sean, like there's nothing that I hold grudges for any of that. It's shit that happened. It's all in the past. We're all here where we're at now. So like it is what it is.
Indeed.
They say in the biz.
Yeah. I don't know.
Fever Dream's back.
Right. We hope you enjoyed this lovely telling. I personally enjoy doing podcast episodes like this. It gives the Lousy listeners a little detail on us and our history. And it lets us go down memory lane because we start, thinking of things that, took place. We're like, oh, shit.
Cringy as fuck. Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed it. As always, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let us know a cringy story you have, or if you have questions about our journey in music, we'll drop in the comments. We'll absolutely answer them. And if you have nothing else to say, drop an emote, and we'll see y'all on Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.